Ah, we have a post entry. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin the next round of this forum. And we have on the stage with us tonight most of our candidates for mayor. And let me go down the list and introduce them for you. First is Dave Munger, Kenneth Duncan, Tom Gallagher, Brian Barr, Richard Scorman, Buddy Gilmore, Mitch Christensen, and Phil McDonald. So, keeping with our previous line of questioning, we'll pose 3 questions to each of the candidates, and then we'll go to a yes-no format, and then we'll have a final 60-second wrap-up from each of the candidates. But let's start with Dave Munger, and the first question is, has Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority been successful, and should it be extended?
The PPRTA is, I think, a great example of the way government should be making decisions. You all had a chance to hear about PPRTA and what it would do for our community. A vast majority of you said, this is a great idea, we're willing to tax ourselves to do it. It's been a successful example. Councilwoman Martin and others have mentioned Cimarron Bridge as a sort of poster child for how successful this is. It's the way with which we should conduct many of our decisions. I strongly support what it has done, and I believe that we're not done fixing that infrastructure. So with your approval, I would be very supportive of continuing PPRTA. Thank you.
Kenneth Duncan.
Short answer is yes. I think PPRTA has been very successful. It's all right. See, I knew that.
Dave, you turned the mic off.
Short answer is yes. I think the PPRTA is an excellent example of what can happen when the city spends its money the way it's supposed to be spent. And when it comes time to vote on it again and decide whether we're going to renew it, I will most definitely publicly come out in support of that. Thank you very much.
Tom Gallagher.
To be honest, I don't know. The county did what the county said it would do with the PPRTA funds, and it poured every dollar into projects. And Manitou Springs did the same thing, and Green Mountain Falls did the same thing. But the city bought trucks, and the city hired people, and the city rented office space. Okay, the city's doing the Milton Proby Parkway, which is going to make it extremely difficult to revitalize that chunk of South Academy that sits north of the Milton Proby Parkway. Okay, I don't think that all the projects, I mean, you voted me road money and said fix the roads and make the road system work better. And to be honest with you, I don't think we've done that. Okay, we had the intention of doing that, but results matter. And if the PPRTA is to be extended, it's only going to be extended with grassroots support. It's not going to be extended by decisions from your elected leaders.
Brian Barr.
I'm Brian Barr. I want to thank you for coming tonight. I think that the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority tax is one great example of collaboration between the county and multiple municipalities, including Colorado Springs. Specific projects were identified, and for the most part, other than the city's portion, for the most part, the funds have been spent on those projects. We've seen the capital improvements, overpasses, and if there are specific projects identified, then I would support extending that tax if you support it. Ultimately, it's going to be your decision, but that's what I would do if elected as mayor.
Richard Scorman.
Yes, I support it, and I think that we also need to understand what the new projects are going to be. And I say I support it, and it's a qualified yes, because I've seen the good it's done. Before the PPRTA, we were the most congested city of 500,000 or less in the country. It took 5 times sometimes to get through Austin Bluffs and Union, 5 lights. It's not what we want to do to live in this community. That's a quality of life issue. And I support how successful it's been, and I think if we keep that legacy, we'll continue to have a great project.
Buddy Gilmore.
Well, I also want to thank you for coming here this evening. It's great to see folks out here trying to be really informed and understanding what this election is all about. I support the PPRT and I support the extension. You know, we've still got lots of congestion problems here in the city. All you got to do is come off I-25 at Cimarron and you see some serious problems with congestion. I would look at that as being one of the projects that we would try to fit into the extension of PPRTA, as well as another project that's particularly of concern to me, and that being the no man's land between Old Colorado City and Manitou Springs. I think we should put those as some of our highest priorities. So I support the extension. Thank you.
Mitch Christensen.
I'm on the PPRTA, CAC boards, or Citizens Advisory Commission, and I see what's happened with this. There's a lot of stuff the county does properly with that and uses the money in the correct manner. If people want more bang for your buck, let's get rid of the county and the city out of there and you set the PPRTA up on its own on there and eliminate that double overhead. Then we can might accomplish things there. So please.
Phil McDonald.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, everyone, for being here. This is a packed house, and this is the way it should be, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. The question is PPRTA, has that been a success? Yes. Can we do better? Absolutely. Can we do much better? Absolutely. I signed the no tax pledge. I am in favor of continuing the tax on PPRTA. I think we've had some wonderful projects. We've talked about the projects. The other council candidates have talked about some of the projects. But I do believe we can do much better with the funds on hand. Thank you.
Okay. We'll ask the second question first of Kenneth Duncan. And the question is, will you support the Westside Historic Overlay Project when it comes before City Council for approval?
I'm glad we got a new question. Generally, I think that yes, I am going to support what has already been bandied about. My question would be, though, is how does this tax incentive for those making improvements to your homes, and God bless you for wanting to keep them historic looking, but at some point, if you sell that home and there's a profit involved because of the improvements, does that money get paid back to the city? So while I am very, very interested in, again, performing this historic preservation, the most important thing to me, and is part of my campaign platform, is what is best for the entire city. So we'll look at that, but offhand, the answer is a yes. I think it's a good idea.
Tom Gallagher.
Of course I'm going to support it. I supported it when I was on the OWN board. I mean, that's how long ago this thing has been languishing. I've made repeated requests while on council to bring it forward to us. You make me mayor, I guarantee you that that plan will be voted on by the council. It will not be hung up by the staff, and we will move forward.
Brian Barr.
Every city starts to mature and goes through a maturing process. It's important that we keep the history of our city intact. And it's also important that we encourage revitalization and renewal. That's the next step for Colorado Springs, particularly for the west side, for downtown, for the Academy corridor, is to revitalize and renew that area. So this overlay encourages private investment into these areas and maintaining that historic feel. So I believe that that's important to do. I'm a home builder. And some of you don't like home builders, but I'll tell you, I have a project that I'm involved in called Gold Hill Mesa, right here in your area, your neck of the woods. It's an area that's a few minutes from downtown. We've taken a brown field, and I'm one of 3 builders in there, and we're building homes and putting money into your community and new homes into your community, because it's important that we encourage revitalization, infill, and reinvestment in our city.
Richard Scorman.
I too support the historic overlay for Old Colorado City and the West Side here, but I think that there needs to be a good public process. I know that not everybody has bought into this. I think there could be an opt-out portion of it for people that don't want to have to be constrained by all the difficult new rules that will be put in place. I think it's absolutely important, and you're going to hopefully have a good say in it if the council will allow a good public process and you vote for it. Thank you.
Buddy Gilmore.
Well, you know, the historic overlay is not just important for this community, but historic overlays are important to our nation in terms of preserving communities, preserving historical foundations. I do support the historical overlay. It's one of those projects that you look at and you find it's been very cost effective. I also like the flexibility provided in this particular overlay plan. So if it comes up in front of me, I will highly encourage the council to vote forward and vote for this overlay.
Mitch Christensen.
As far as the historic overlay, I have no problem with it. My problem would be that if everybody that is in that area wants it, they need to have, as Richard says, they need to have the option to opt out of that, because it is a very costly issue. We had that issue on the north end, and I don't think that that's the way that it should be done.
Phil McDonald.
I'm also in favor of the historic overlay. When people come visit our community, they don't want to go see Stetson Hills. They don't want to see Springs Ranch. They want to come to the West Side. This is the core of our city. The West Side, the old Colorado City corridor, the small businesses through there. We need to see them thrive. We need to see these small businesses alive and just come alive once again. I'm in favor of that, but as others have mentioned, we also need that opt-out process. We need to hear from you. This is your neighborhoods, and I'm willing to hear from you. I want to hear from you, and I want to hear all the input. Thank you.
Dave Munger.
Thank you. Thank you. Many of you know that I've actually, not only am I in favor of this, but I've actually sat with the organization of Westside Neighbors and talked about how this process can work and tried to be as supportive as possible to this organization that has organized this meeting in moving that process forward. I would take that same attitude as mayor. I'd like to see our city staff say to you, how can we help you make this move forward quickly? How can we help make sure that we as a city help you protect your investment in this historic neighborhood? This is one of the crown jewels of Colorado Springs, this neighborhood. And we've got to find a way to make sure that we keep that a pristine jewel, a jewel that is well supported, and a place that we all can take pride in. Thank you very much.